Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're going to look at the energy between you and the person on your mind. And I'm picking up right away that this is not a simple they don't care situation. No, this feels much more tangled than that. This person is terrified of opening their heart again because love has hurt them before, but your energy still feels like home to them. They may be silent, guarded, inconsistent, or acting detached, but they still crave your closeness, your softness, your attention, and the emotional safety they felt with you. Take the roles how they resonate, because this is a general reading, and this won't be everybody's message. But for whoever this is for, there is distance here. There may be no contact, separation, emotional coldness, or somebody acting like they're fine when they are absolutely not fine. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like there's something they have not admitted yet. Not to you, maybe not even to themselves. We'll look into what they're feeling, what's blocking them, what they still crave from you, whether communication is coming in. And in the extended reading, I'm going to go deeper into their next actions. What they want to say, timing around communication, and what happens between the two of you over the next 4 weeks. So let's see, I'm just shuffling here, asking for the overall energy between you and this person. Okay, first card out is the Five of Swords. Interesting. This card is telling me there has been some emotional defeat here. Not necessarily because the love disappeared, but because someone felt they had to protect themselves at any cost. This is the energy of words left hanging in the air, arguments that didn't resolve anything, silence that became louder than the conversation itself. I feel like one of you walked away feeling misunderstood, and the other person may have acted colder than they actually felt. The Five of Swords can be pride, defensiveness, emotional chess, somebody wanting closeness but choosing control instead. And with this specific image, the bird flying above those swords feels like someone trying to rise above the pain, but still carrying the shadow of it. They're trying to act detached, but they're not detached. Bottom of the deck, energetically, I feel this question: did I ruin this? Or did I protect myself? And that's the loop we're going to open next, because I'm still sitting with this energy. And now the next card coming through is the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune is telling me that this connection has not been still. Even if there has been silence, even if nobody is moving. Emotionally, this has been spinning. This person may have walked away, pulled back, gone quiet, or tried to make it seem like they were choosing peace. But inside, I feel like they've been going through this loop over and over again. One moment they tell themselves, I did the right thing. The next moment, they're wondering why your energy still feels so close. And that's what I mean by this question of, did I ruin this or did I protect myself? Because I don't feel like this person has a clean answer. I feel like they chose distance because closeness started to feel unpredictable, not because you were unsafe, but because love itself has become unsafe in their mind. Let's just shuffle a little bit more here. Yeah, I'm picking up that this person may have felt like the connection was turning into something they could not control. The wheel can be cycles, timing, changes, things moving faster than somebody expected. And with this image, everything around this figure feels sharp, almost like life is spinning them through all these old memories, old fears, old defenses. So when they got close to you, it didn't just bring up attraction, it brought up history. It brought up the last time they trusted someone, the last time they opened their heart, the last time they thought, maybe this is safe. And then something hurt them, and instead of saying, I'm scared, they may have gone silent instead of saying, I feel too much. They may have acted like they felt nothing. That is very important here. Because this wheel is not showing me indifference. It's showing me emotional overwhelm. It's showing me someone trying to step out of the cycle by acting detached, but they are still in the cycle. They're still thinking, still feeling, still wondering if the door is closed or if the timing is just not right yet. Bottom of the deck, I feel this turning point energy. Something in them is not as settled as they want you to believe. But the Wheel of Fortune is showing me there's something underneath this silence that they do not want you to see yet. So now I want to pull how this person is seeing you right now, because that hidden layer matters. If they're silent, if they're guarded, if they're acting like they can just turn this off, I want to know what they actually feel when they look at your energy. Let's see. Okay, Seven of Wands. Yeah, this is very telling. They see you as someone who is not as easy to reach as before, and I don't mean that in a cold way. I feel like they know your heart is soft. They know your energy is loving. They know you have this emotional depth that they don't find everywhere, but they also see that you are protecting yourself now. There is something about you where they can feel that you're not just standing there with the door wide open anymore, and that may be bothering them more than they want to admit. With this Seven of Wands, I feel like they see you as someone who has been pushed into a defensive position. Not because you wanted to be difficult, not because you wanted to play games, but because at some point, you had to choose yourself. You had to stop over explaining your heart to someone who kept hiding behind silence. Take the roles how they resonate. But I feel like this person sees you as emotionally strong, even if they also know they made you tired. And that's where the longing comes in, because they miss the version of you that felt safe to approach. They miss your softness. They miss your attention. They miss the way your energy made them feel understood without having to say every single thing out loud. But now they're looking at you like, can I even come close to them again? Will they let me in? Did I push them too far? And with this image, the figure is crouched, almost surrounded by these sharp wooden stakes. It feels like protection. It feels like someone who has been through enough and is listening carefully before they move. That's how they see you. They know you can sense things. They know you can feel when something is off. They know you can see through the mask. And I think that intimidates them because they cannot just casually come back into your energy pretending nothing happened. They are aware this connection was rare, but instead of that awareness making them brave, it's making them scared. And next, I want to see how you're seeing them, because your energy has definitely changed. So let's ask, how are you seeing this person right now? I'm just shuffling here. Okay, Queen of Cups. Yeah, and I have to say, this feels like your energy, but it also feels like how you've had to hold your emotions around this person, because the Queen of Cups is deeply loving, deeply intuitive, very sensitive to shifts in energy, but she is not chasing. She is not begging. She is sitting with the cup, aware of what she feels, but also aware of what it costs her to keep pouring into someone who may not be ready to receive it. I feel like you see this person as someone who touched a very soft place in you. And maybe that is why this has been so difficult, because this was not surface level for you. This was not just attraction. This was not just curiosity. You felt something emotional, something familiar, something that made you open up, even if you didn't open all the way. But now, with this Queen of Cups, you are looking at them through a very different lens. You may still care. You may still feel them. You may still think about them more than you want to admit. But there's also this quiet question inside of you. Like, do you want me? Or do you just want the comfort of knowing I'm still here? That's a very specific message. Because I feel like you're tired of being the emotional safe place for someone who disappears when it's time to be honest. You're tired of sensing what they feel instead of hearing it from them. You're tired of having to read between the lines, read the silence, read the energy, read the little shifts. And with this image, the queen is holding the cup, but she's turned away slightly. She's not spilling it. She's not throwing it away. She's just not offering it recklessly anymore. That tells me your heart is still involved, but your boundaries are waking up. You may see this person as wounded. Yes, you may understand why they are guarded, but I don't feel like understanding them means you want to abandon yourself, and that is where the energy has changed. They may be expecting the same version of you who would soothe them, wait for them, make space for them, but the Queen of Cups here is saying, I can love you and still choose peace. Now, I want to pull what they're secretly thinking and evaluating, because I feel like they're asking themselves whether they can come back towards you without getting hurt. So, let's see what comes out for what they're secretly thinking and evaluating. I'm just shuffling here, and I want to be very specific with this, because I feel like this person is not just sitting in silence casually. This is not a peaceful silence. This feels like someone trying to convince themselves they are okay with the distance, while their energy keeps circling back to you. Okay, Three of Cups. Yeah, that makes sense. Because this person is thinking about reconnection. They may not be saying that, they may not be showing that, but the Three of Cups is that desire to return to ease, to laughter, to emotional warmth, to the version of this connection that did not feel so heavy yet. I feel like they are remembering moments where being around you felt natural. Maybe conversations that flowed, maybe small jokes, maybe the way you made them feel included, wanted, understood. There is something here about them missing the lighter side of you, not just the deep emotional bond, but the comfort of your presence. And for some of you, there could be friends involved, social media, mutual circles, or someone checking in indirectly. This can be that energy of wanting to know what you're doing without directly asking you, looking at your posts, asking casual questions, watching your energy from a distance and pretending it doesn't mean anything, but it does. I'm picking up that there has been a moment where they almost reached out. They may have opened your message thread, they may have typed something and deleted it, they may have hovered over your name, looked at a photo, looked at an old conversation, and then stopped themselves. Because reaching out would mean admitting they still care. And that is where the fear comes in again. The Three of Cups can be reunion energy, but with this person, it feels like they want the sweetness of reunion without having to walk through the vulnerability first. They want to come back into your warmth. They want to feel that closeness again, but they also know they cannot just show up with a smile and skip over what happened. That's what they're evaluating. Can they come back without being rejected? Can they speak without exposing too much? Can they reconnect without losing control? And I feel like they're realizing silence may not be protecting them anymore. It may be making the distance louder. Before we check communication, I want to see what happened in the past, because this fear did not start with you. So let's pull into the past energy here, because I want to see what created this sharpness between you two. What happened before the silence, before the guardedness, before this person started acting like they could just put everything in a box and not feel it? I'm shuffling here, okay. Ace of Swords, yeah, this is very strong. The Ace of Swords in the past tells me there was some kind of truth that cut through the illusion. This could have been a conversation, a realization, a moment where somebody saw the connection for what it really was. And sometimes clarity sounds beautiful, but clarity can also be frightening when someone is not ready to face what it means. I feel like this connection may have started with something very clean, very direct. Maybe the way you spoke to each other, maybe the way you understood each other quickly. Maybe there was this feeling of, I don't have to pretend with you. And that is what scared them. Because the Ace of Swords is not soft in the way the Queen of Cups is soft. This is the truth. This is the blade. This is the moment where someone realizes, this person sees me. This person knows when I'm hiding. This person can hear what I'm not saying. And for someone who has been hurt before, that can feel like intimacy and exposure at the same time. I feel like in the past, there may have been words exchanged that stayed with them. Maybe something honest was said. Maybe someone confessed more than they meant to. Maybe there was an argument where the truth came out sideways. Or maybe there was no big dramatic moment, but internally, this person knew. If I keep going, I'm going to have to open up for real. And that is where their fear got activated. It's not that you were the wound. You may have touched the wound. There is a difference. Love has cost this person something before. Their pride, their trust, their sense of safety, maybe even their ability to believe people stay. So when your energy started to matter, when your presence started to feel important, their nervous system treated closeness like danger. And I feel like they pulled away right when the connection was becoming real, not when it was empty, not when it meant nothing, right when the truth of it started getting too loud. With this image, the hand gripping the sword feels tense, like someone holding on to truth, but also afraid of what that truth will demand from them. So next, I want to see why they couldn't move forward, because part of them wanted to. That's what makes this so complicated. So let's see why they couldn't move forward. I'm just going to shuffle into that question. Why did this person freeze? Why did they stop at the edge of something that clearly had meaning? Okay, Two of Wands. Yeah, this is exactly that crossroads energy. This is someone standing between what they want and what they are afraid will happen if they choose it. The Two of Wands can be planning, waiting, looking at the future, but not fully stepping into it yet. And with this person, I feel like they have been standing at the doorway emotionally, not gone, not fully present, just there, in that uncomfortable in between. They could feel the potential with you. They could feel that this connection was not just a passing thing, but once they started imagining what it would mean to actually move forward, to actually let you in, to actually be responsible for the way they feel, something in them tightened. And with this image, the figure is holding the heart right there on the table, almost examining it, almost controlling it. That's the message. They are trying to analyze their feelings instead of surrendering to them. They are scared to love again, but they still crave the closeness. They still crave your softness. They still crave your attention. They still crave the emotional safety they felt when your energy was near them. But craving something and being ready to receive it are two different things. I feel like this person's blockage is control. They don't want to feel dependent on anybody. They don't want to need your text, your voice, your reassurance, your presence. They don't want to admit that when you pull your energy back. They feel it. And this is where I'm realizing something. I feel like they want you to think they're fine, but the cards are not showing me fine. They may be posting, working, going out, distracting themselves, acting normal. They may even be giving you the impression that they've moved on or that the silence is easy for them. But this Two of Wands is not relaxed. This is someone calculating, waiting, wondering, trying to decide whether they can come toward you without losing their emotional footing. They are not evil. They are guarded. They are conflicted. They are hungry for closeness, but afraid that if they reach for it, it will have power over them. So now I want to pull the challenge cards, because I want to see what they are doing instead of being honest. Let's see what they are doing instead of being honest. I'm shuffling into the challenge here. Okay, strength. Yeah, and this is actually very clear. The challenge is restraint, holding back, trying to stay composed when there is a lot more happening underneath the surface. Strength is not showing me someone who has no feelings. It's showing me someone who is trying very hard not to be ruled by what they feel. And with this image, the figure is dressed so carefully, almost controlled, almost unreadable. But then you see the blade, the hand, the posture. There is tension here. There is something being managed, something being contained. That's what they're doing instead of being honest. They are managing themselves. They are managing the urge to reach out, managing the memories, managing the softness they still feel when they think about you. Managing the part of them that wants to come forward and say something simple, something real, maybe even something vulnerable. But they don't want to look weak. That is very strong here. I feel like this person has trained themselves to equate emotional openness with losing power. So instead of apologizing, instead of explaining, instead of saying, I miss you, they hold it in, they try to master the feeling, they try to outweigh it. But the thing about strength is that feelings do not disappear just because someone refuses to speak them. Bottom of the deck. I'm getting this sense that they are still checking on you in some way. For some of you, that could be social media. For others, it's mutual friends, rereading old messages, looking at photos, or just quietly wondering what you're doing and whether you still think about them. Not in a sinister way, not in a way that feels invasive, more like someone who wants reassurance that you are still somewhere in their world, but they are afraid to actually step into the conversation. They want the comfort of knowing you still exist in their orbit. They want to know if your energy is still available, but they don't want to risk hearing that you've finally moved on. And that's why this strength card feels so heavy, because the challenge is not whether they care. The challenge is whether they can stop performing control long enough to be emotionally honest. They may be holding back a message. They may be holding back an apology. They may be holding back a small opening that could change the whole tone between you. And the potential outcome is interesting, because I feel like there is one card here that changes the whole message. Let's see. I want to pull the potential outcome here, because if they're holding back this much, I want to know where that energy is actually going. Okay. Seven of Swords. Interesting, because this is not the kind of card that says everything stays hidden forever. To me, especially in this reading. The Seven of Swords is showing the strategy, the way this person tries to move around the truth instead of walking straight into it. This is someone who may come toward you indirectly before they come toward you directly. So this could look like watching first, testing the waters first, sending something small, reacting to something, finding a reason to be in your space without fully saying, I missed you. And I know that can feel frustrating, because you may be at a point where subtle hints are not enough anymore. The Seven of Swords is also showing me that they have been keeping a lot to themselves. Not just secrets in a dramatic way, but private thoughts, private fears, private emotions they have not wanted to expose. They may have hidden behind busyness, humor, silence, pride, or even this attitude of, I'm good, everything is fine. But the energy is saying no, it's not fine. They don't want to be vulnerable, but they also don't want to lose access to your energy. And with this image, this cloaked figure is carrying the swords, moving quietly, almost like they're trying not to be seen. That feels like your person trying to handle the connection without having to confess how much it still affects them. They may be telling themselves, I'll just check, I'll just see what they're doing. I'll just wait a little longer. I'll just keep my feelings to myself. But that is not real peace. That is avoidance dressed up as control. So as a potential outcome, I feel like the turning point is that this person's old way of dealing with feelings starts to stop working. The silence stops protecting them. The distance stops calming them. The pretending stops convincing even themselves. And that is when communication becomes possible. But I want to keep this balanced. If they come in, they may not come in perfectly, they may come in carefully, indirectly, maybe even a little awkwardly. You may need to look at whether they are truly ready to be honest, or whether they are just trying to get close without explaining the wound, because you are not asking for a performance, you are asking for truth. And in the final pull, I want to bridge this into the extended, because I want to look at timing, next actions, and what they actually want to say when they stop hiding behind all of this. So let's pull this final card for the main reading, just to see what the energy wants to leave us with before we go into the extended. I'm shuffling here. Okay. Three of Pentacles. Yeah, that's actually a very grounded ending. Because after all of this hiding, all of this fear, all of this holding back, the Three of Pentacles is about effort. It's about whether two people can actually meet in a more honest place and build something that is not just based on feelings, but based on consistency. And that's important here. Because this person may crave your closeness. But closeness alone is not enough. Wanting your softness is not enough. Missing your attention is not enough. If they come back, there has to be some willingness to cooperate emotionally, to listen, to speak clearly, to not make you carry the whole connection by yourself. With this image, I'm drawn to these shapes hanging in the tree. It feels like something unfinished, something that has a structure. But it still needs hands. It still needs care. It still needs someone to say, okay, if this matters, what are we actually going to do with it? And I feel like that's where this connection is moving energetically. The Five of Swords showed the pride and the emotional defeat. The Wheel showed that this is still turning in their mind. The Seven of Wands showed that they see you protecting yourself now. The Queen of Cups showed that your heart is still soft, but not endlessly available. The Three of Cups showed the desire to reconnect, to return to warmth, ease, and emotional closeness. The Ace of Swords showed the truth that scared them. The Two of Wands showed the crossroads. Strength showed the restraint. And the Seven of Swords showed the way they've been trying to move around the truth instead of facing it. But now, with the Three of Pentacles, the question becomes, can they show up in a way that feels real? Not perfect. Real, because I don't feel like this person is evil. I feel like they are wounded, guarded, avoidant, conflicted, and emotionally hungry. They want the warmth of you, but they're scared of what love asks from them. And for you, I feel like your peace matters now. Your self-respect matters. You are not available for half love, confusion, or someone only reaching for you when they need comfort. Communication is possible here, but you will know the difference between a small breadcrumb and a genuine effort in the extended. I'm going to look at their next actions, what they want to say, timing around communication, and what happens over the next 4 weeks. We'll also look at what they're afraid you'll say, what they're hoping for, and whether this Three of Pentacles becomes real effort or just another unfinished pattern. So if this resonated, you can check the extended link below, and if you'd like, you can subscribe, or leave a comment with how this connected for you. I'm sending you so much calm around this, because whatever they choose, your heart does not have to lose itself waiting for someone else to find their courage.